couple of weeks ago, I shared a video of the presentation I did here in Brasstown at the John C. Campbell Folk School a few months ago about the rich, colorful language of Appalachia. A lot of you could not travel to attend that presentation, so you asked me to share it here, and I did. If you missed that video, I'll link to it in the description below, and you can go back and watch it. In it, I talk about some of the different attributes of Appalachian language, as well as how language travels across the country, across the world, how much of it come here to the mountains of Appalachia from other places, other countries. So you can be sure to go back and watch that. Today, I'm going to share the last little portion of that presentation that I did at the folk school. I did not share it in that video, but it's just a slideshow, and it's some of the wonderful, unique phrases and sayings, words, things that you'll often hear in the mountains of Appalachia. So I wanted to share those with you today and just tell you a little bit about each one. Juberous. Katie was juberous about her next move. She didn't know if she should continue on her journey or curl up in her blanket and sleep a while. Definition of juberous is hesitant, uncertain, and doubtful. Matt often accuses me of being juberous. Swarp. Pap swarped the car through some briars along the edge of the road to teach Steve to quit sticking his arms out the car windows. Definition of swarp, to beat or strike, to move unsteadily. True story. Pap, my daddy, really did do that to Steve, my older brother, when he was small, to try to teach him to quit sticking his hands out the windows, and I think it worked. Stogging. Last night I heard him stogging around out in the yard. I figured he had come home half lit again, but he'd stuck his boot right in the bucket the children had been playing mud pies with. Definition of stogging, to move or go around in a heavy or clumsy manner. Stogging is one of the words, actually stogging and swarped both. I don't know how I would convey what I meant without using those words. They're so descriptive, and they're so ingrained in the language that we speak. Flowerty. I always did like a flowery dress, especially if I had a flower to go in my hair too. Definition of flowerty, featuring a floral pattern or design, flowery. I love flowery blouses, shirts, curtains, bedspreads, you name it. Mess. I picked you a mess of beans while I was in the garden this morning. Definition of mess, amount of a food item that is adequate for a meal. That food item might be beans, might be peas, it might be fish. You might have caught a mess of fish and you're going to cook that up or share it with a friend. Yarn. I was terrified. That place smelled like yarn. There ain't no telling what he's got in the basement. Definition of yarn, carrion, something that smells horrible. Often you'll hear yarny, so it could be yarn or yarny, both smell terrible. Arsh potato. We had arsh taters at almost every meal. It was a real treat when we had sweet taters instead. Definition of arsh potato, the common white potato. That term, arsh tater, arsh potato, is still alive and well in my family. Fruit. Won't you come down and eat dinner with us? Your daddy had me open a jar of fruit, and we've got a pan of fried taters, and the biscuits are just about done. Definition of fruit, apples preserved, cooked, or made into a sauce. That is really something Granny would say to me. She would call and say that to me over the phone and get me to come down and eat dinner with her and Daddy. Wish I could go back to that one more time. Delicious food, but also wonderful to hear them both say fruit when they talked about apples. Applesauce most of the time, and that's something that I have not carried on, but I need to. Snake doctor. I'm afraid to go down to the pond. I saw a snake doctor down there, and Daddy says that means a snake is nearby. Definition of snake doctor, a dragonfly. You'll also hear them called snake feeders. Snake feeders. They are beautiful insects. Gom. My girls have always liked to gom. If it's dirty, slimy, dusty, wet, or slightly disgusting, they are up for it. Definition of gom, to make a mess. And I can say that my grandsons are following in the footsteps of their mothers. Wasper. The wasper has the worst sting of all, if you ask me. Definition of wasper is a wasp. I was a grown woman before I knew that wasper was not a word. I was working in Haywood County with one of my cousins, a few counties away, where I met Matt. And one day at work, I said something about a wasper, and she said, "You know that's not a word." I said, "Yes, it is." She said, "No, it's not." I said, "Yes, it is." And finally she said, "You need to go get a dictionary and look in it." Now, she said wasper too. It wasn't like she was trying to get above her raisin with me, but she just wanted me to know that it wasn't really a word. And I went and looked in the dictionary, and I'll be dad Jim, she was right. I still can't hardly believe it, because all my life I've said wasper. Slip off. Every chance he gets, he slips off down to the store to sit and talk. Definition of slip off: to sneak away from home, work, or duty. After Pap retired, Granny was always accusing him of slipping off. He'd slip off down to Paul's to pick the guitar, or slip off somewhere to go sit and talk to somebody. Extra. Christmas was extra special this year. Oh, we didn't have many presents, but everyone was home, safe, and well. Definition of extra: very good, excellent, especially. I can't hear the word extra that I don't think about my daddy, about Pap. That was a word he used. And I don't use it, but I should, because my life is extra special. Reach me an apple. I know it's almost supper time, but I'm hungry. Definition of reach is hand. It's very common to hear somebody say, "Reach me this," or "Reach me that," instead of hand. Bow up. Yesterday, the girls and I were on our way home when the car in front of us just bowed up in the middle of the road. I don't know if they were lost or what, but they need to learn how to drive. Definition of bow up: object that stops suddenly, a person refusing to budge on a certain issue. You may not believe it, but when Corey was a girl, she bowed up on me all the time. She was much worse to bow up than Katie, and it always took some finagling to get her to agree to do what you wanted her to do. Toboggan. Don't go out in that cold March wind without your toboggan on. You're going to catch your death of a cold. Definition of toboggan is a woven hat. Sometimes you'll hear it just called boggin instead of toboggan, or toboggan. Some people say toboggan. It's interesting because, of course, in other places that toboggan is a sled, so that can cause some real confusion when you think about putting a sled on your head before you go outside. Mullygrubs. She had the mullygrubs because her dog ran off. We tried to cheer her up, but she wouldn't have nothing we tried. Definition of mullygrubs: to feel depressed, sad, or dejected. People say February is the month that most people get the mullygrubs. It's that sort of in-between after winter is over, but spring's not yet arrived. Donny gal. You'll always be my Donny gal, no matter how old and gray we get. Definition of Donny gal: sweetheart. Poke. Get you a poke off the porch there and go pick you a mess of beans to take home with you. Definition of poke: a paper bag. If you go out to eat with Corey and Katie, they sometimes, as you can see from the photo, put pokes on their head. Backwards. I was so backwards when I was a child that I hid behind Granny or Pap's legs every time somebody tried to talk to me. Definition of backwards: shy, reserved, bashful, slightly strange, or all of the above. Might be hard for you to believe that I was backwards, but I really, really was. Miller. Your daddy left the light on last night and a bunch of Millers got in the house. I'll never get them things out. Definition of Miller: a moth. Seems to me there's not as many Millers as there used to be. You'll have to tell me if that's so in the area where you live. Of course, that's just a few words and sayings that can be found in the mountains of Appalachia. I guess I chose to highlight those because they have special meaning to me or to my family. You know, if you watch my videos, I could talk about the rich, colorful language of Appalachia all day. I'm plumb foolish about it. I love to talk about it with anybody that'll listen. My family, all of you, and anyone else that I come in contact with. I have a whole playlist here on YouTube of Appalachian language related videos. Some of them were giving each other tests, testing on the words that are in my reference books. Some of them I'm just talking about those attributes. Some of them are about funny sayings, wise sayings, hot sayings, the way we say completely, how many ways we use take. See, I could go on and on. So I'll leave a link to that playlist so that you can check it out if you're interested. I hope you'll leave a comment and tell me if you were familiar with the words and sayings that I shared today. As always, I'm glad you stopped by to help me celebrate Appalachia.